we good?
Rock and roll, dude.
Sweet.
We're not gonna miss the first minute.
Recording.
Last time I listened to the first. I was like, "Oh, dude, this is gonna be a rough episode."
Nope, yeah, then, I left it in because it kind of flowed naturally, and we didn't do a re-intro. So, anyways, we are live. We are recording. We are back. Another episode. C-Suite Unfiltered. Got to start from the top.
A few weeks of being dad under your belt.
Yeah, a few weeks of being a dad under my belt. So
you're a battle-scarred veteran now.
Say it again.
You're a battle-scarred veteran of being a dad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're the rough days and the good days. They're all good days, but they're rough moments, if you will. So we're fighting through them. All right, we got to start with this because last pod we did talk about the presidential debate.
Right.
And I released it after.
I saw your little...
I wanted to, I put in a little disclaimer on the last episode, just in case if we made any jokes or people, thought, I can't believe they would say that, or not talk about the assassination attempt on Trump. Yeah. So I don't really have anything to add. I just figured people are probably going to want to know your thoughts. So what was that like for you?
First of all, I don't think there's many people like wondering my thoughts on this
I
topic.
think there are.
I am thankful to God that he didn't get killed.
Yeah.
Not because I am a big fan of Mr. Trump, but as more a matter of it would have really put our nation in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful that didn't happen. I really do think we would have had a very violent and politically charged next few months. And so I'm thankful that didn't happen.
Yeah. That's where I stand on it. Like political violence, one, should never happen. Two, when you have maybe divisive characters like Trump, or even let's go the opposite. Maybe if you want to make his opposite comp, Joe Biden, sure, but maybe someone like a Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer. Like you talk to any true Republican, they hate Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Well, I don't want them to get killed either, because it would just create a ton of violence from the left and all this negative rhetoric. It's like, no, you can hate someone, you can hate their ideologies, but you shouldn't want them dead.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It was wild when it happened though. All the news. Where were you when it happened?
I literally was at home and I got it 3 minutes after it happened.
Yeah.
I for some reason I pulled up Twitter. I think. No, you know what happened? Meet Kevin was going to go live. Dude, Meet Kevin.
Classic Meet Kevin.
Is the best at breaking news.
Yes, yeah, he's good at it.
There's no one as good as him.
Yep.
And so I tune out of 95% of what he talks about now, but when there's a live event happening and you want instant updates, you go to Meet Kevin.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah.
And so, because what he does is he has all the news networks up and then he has Twitter and he just is getting everything live the fastest. He beats everyone else out. So anyways.
And his post major event breakdowns are phenomenal. Those videos he did one 24 hours after or maybe 12 hours after. Here's everything we know about the Trump assassination attempt. Yeah. And it was a phenomenal breakdown. It was unbiased. It was taking in all the sources. Yeah, Meet Kevin's clutch with that stuff.
Yeah. And then it was really interesting how Elon supported.
Yes.
And which wasn't super surprising, but then Bill Ackman came out.
Yes.
And then he supported it. Mm-hmm. So, I think so when it happened, the first thing I was like, okay, if he actually got killed, we're going into a civil war. Mm-hmm. And so my first thought was when I started watching the clips was I just need to see him stand up. Yeah. And so he stood up and I'm like, okay, good. We're okay.
Yeah.
and so and then once he stood up and he did the whole fist thing, I was like, okay, now it's going to be so clear in terms of who's stronger. This is probably going to swing the election. Mm-hmm. And so if it doesn't do that, I would be amazed. Mm-hmm. And so from a political standpoint, that was probably the best thing that could ever happen to him. And I think what's going to happen is I already had seen in the debate and things you can tell he's being coached, hey, be presidential, just chill out.
Yep.
If you're way over here and Biden's way over here, just meet in the middle and because he doesn't have the power to meet you in the middle in terms of energy, just tone it back a bit. And so I think even his entry at the RNC and I think his demeanor is going to be much more presidential.
Yes.
I think it's going to be much more reserved. He's not going to attack people as much. And I don't think it's going to be much of a show because he just had an encounter with almost losing his life.
Yeah.
And so I think it'll actually be he'll be more introspective. Mm-hmm. Seeing him a little bit emotional at RNC is a good thing.
Yes.
It humanizes him. And I think for people that are in the middle or are middle left to be brought over, they need to see that. Mm-hmm. And so if any political sort of coaching to him I would imagine is hey, just tone it back. chill out, show a little bit of emotion about those things, and it's okay to be like on the a little bit more human.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I feel like even his, like the tonality, it's a tweet, right? But even the tonality of his tweets is less aggressive than it was. I personally thought, like, obviously, people, you don't want to make light of these situations, but humor is a way to, handle these things, right? Yeah. So a lot of people were making jokes after this. And I was like, he's gonna tweet the craziest stuff. Like his first tweet back on Twitter, this is my joke. I was like, his first tweet back on Twitter should just be, quote, "Missed me, Ronald Reagan." Right, because Ronald Reagan famously said that in a speech when a balloon popped.
Right.
And he, it was after he had someone attempt to assassinate him. I was like, that should be his tweet. And then I was like, he's probably going to come out like so hot against like the shooter and say all these negative things. But he actually went the exact opposite.
Yeah, no, he did.
He went more in an introspective, gentle tone, which I was surprised by, but I think that was the right
Not a fan of the fight thing.
Yeah.
As much as I get where it came from and I understand like you're showing strength. Yeah. Fighting is never the solution internally.
Agreed.
Like I think I agree. I get the strength part, but in the moment, like if you're not, let's assume it's not scripted. Yeah. like anything he said, like I'm just glad that he actually showed some strength there. Yeah. But saying the words fight, like what are we fighting? Yeah. Are we fighting the deep state? Are we fighting the left? Are we fighting the Democrats? Like, I think they'll be used in so many negative ways. And like, no, like we're not supposed to be fighting each other. We're supposed to be like collaborate. Like, collaborate. Yeah. It wouldn't have gone as well in people chanting. Yeah. But and then it's just so interesting, all the stuff around it. It's like the DIDA, what is it called? DEI stuff around like all diversity, the women. Inclusion, yeah, all the women on the Secret Service, and then whether they're prepared for it, and like all the planning and all that sort of stuff. So I rarely get involved in politics, but when events like this happen, I'm really watching. Yes. So like I really watched how Biden handled it. Yep. I watched how like they took the ads down. I really tried to like see like what's the strategy, but then also like the leadership aspects of it, I think is interesting. Yeah. I thought this was one of the more interesting tweets, and this is getting deeper into like the political sphere. So once again, if you don't like it, skip ahead in the pod. I thought this was one of the more interesting initial reactions to it happening. This is from Patrick Bet David. I know we've talked about him on the podcast before, but he said, to those saying that the election is over and Trump will win in a landslide, you're being naive. And then he kind of lists his concerns. He said, just because you have this big viral moment and you get this immediate rally of support around Trump does not mean that the election's over. I think a lot of people felt that way, that, like it's over, like the photos of him with his fist up with the American flag, like how can you vote against that? Yeah. But then he goes on to list like really kind of his main concerns about just the general political sphere and what we as individuals need to do if we want our voices heard. I'm not going to read the whole tweet because it's pretty long. I might put some of the screenshots on the screen, and if you want to check it out, go to Twitter. But it's just a very interesting take, kind of stepping back. A lot of people had emotional takes on this situation, but Patrick Bet David was really analyzing, hey, we can get emotional and say, yeah, Trump won, let's rally around him, or we can be like, hey, we're still dealing with this giant political sphere that we all have to participate in, and we can't just assume he won the game. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm just hoping that this causes Trump to go way more introspective and be way more center. Yeah, like that's fair. Like he has this huge opportunity to like pull in, not just from a political perspective, the left, but like he has this, like when that happens, you can galvanize people that are opposing otherwise. And I hope he goes that direction. I don't know if he has it in him because he has been so divisive in the past with his language. And that's why people like him. And he's polar. He pushes some people away and then attracts others. But I would hope that this is a moment where he's older now. This is his last shot. Yeah. He's not running for president again. And so I think I would love if this causes him to like think about life, cherish his family, think about like the next generation a little bit more, and be just tone it back. Yeah. Like, and I think if he did that, it would be good politically, but also I just think we need to have a leader that is not divisive. And so the only way for right now for Biden to show strength is to be divisive. Like the only way for him to show like grit, determination, like power is to be divisive. And so that's when he ratcheted up the rhetoric against Trump, this sort of stuff happens. But it's his only way is to use harsh words because he doesn't have the actual physical or mental strength necessarily. And so we need somebody like, this would be my prayer, is that like Trump, this like makes him much more introspective about life. He literally just had a close graze with death. He's had a lot of support swarm around him. You can use this as an opportunity to take a step to the left and be like, hey, let's all come together. He does not need to make a victory lap. Like if he gets nominated, like just let's chill out.
Yeah.
I would love that. I don't know if he has it in him. No, the JD Vance, the nomination, having someone younger, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Now that he has JD Vance, I feel like Vivek Ramaswamy has become even more pro-Trump because he just wants a cabinet seat now. Have you seen like his Twitter and all his public appearances? Like, all right, Vivek, we get it. You want to be in the cabinet. You're not the VP. I do love Vivek, but I think JD Vance is a good move. Goes younger, someone that your traditional Republicans can root for too. Like, oh, he's a veteran, Whereas like Trump can kind of polarize some of the more traditional conservative Republicans. I thought it was a good move. Here's my favorite thing. This is my last thing on it. This came out like a few weeks before, maybe a month before the shooting, and it never really made major headlines, and now it definitely won't. Did you hear about Trump's plans for 2026 if reelected? 2026 is the 250th birthday for America. He wants to do a Great American State Fair, require all governors to host like massive month-long state fairs and parties.
Month-long?
Yeah, dude. And he's like, we're just going to celebrate American greatness for like a year, basically. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like that, I'm voting for him based on that. I think that's so cool. So that's
I think that like when I look at it, if I thought Biden could move center and pull like this country together, I wouldn't mind voting for him. I really, at this point, like usually, I'd still say this, like 90% of my vote is based on policy. But in this regard, I would say I am looking for a uniting leader.
Yep.
Because like the divisiveness stuff needs to stop. Like
Totally.
we are not at war with each other. Like we need to cut this stuff out.
Yeah.
And on both sides, I have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And so whenever you see it inside of a company, you see it inside a family, you see it inside a relationship, you see it inside a country, that is what leads to failure. And so I would just love for this to be a galvanizing moment, because like the left is going to say like the person that shot him was a Republican voter, that it was using an AR that the Republicans are trying to make popular.
Yep.
So they're just going to use that. They're also going to say like that Trump is the point of all the rhetoric and was the one that instigated all of it. It's not Biden's fault. And it's just like, look, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't be saying this about each other. Like, so unfortunately, because of social media, the snippets and sound bites is what works. And what gets people riled up enough to go vote.
Yeah.
And so my hope is that if he does get voted in, which it looks like that will probably happen, that he just totally dials it back. Because he doesn't need to be reelected. He can't be.
Yeah.
Like, so like chill out.
Yeah.
And like make 4 years of bringing the country together.
Totally.
I would love that. I just don't think it's really possible from a political standpoint.
Well, we the 250th birthday party.
I just hope that like someone having a quick
together.
graze with death gets them close enough to that. Because I've been there once, twice, and once like when I'm older. It's like I know it's like just like completely reframe like your daily life and like what sleep means and what whatever all of that means.
Totally.
And so I would hope that happens, and then he chooses his cabinet accordingly too. But we'll see.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that was your politics for the day. We'll move off the topic. If you're here for business, we'll move off that topic. But I wanted to hear your thoughts, and I appreciate you sharing them.
Like I would love it to be that the cabinet has to be a split, like 50-50, left and right.
Oh, like they have to be 50% registered Democrat, 50% registered Republican. Yeah. I don't hate that.
It's like give some like balance and like I hate parties in general. I just think we should be voting as Americans, but like I know that won't work. But like I just think that like balance is good and challenging is good. And like one thing is like that Trump said in jest, I think I mentioned this last time during the debate, is that he like jested that Biden hasn't fired anyone. And like that is actually a really good point. He hasn't fired anybody in his cabinet or in his like office staff or anything like that. And so it shows that like it's just groupthink. It's just like, oh, like everyone just kind of comes with their idea and does their own thing. And there's no like leadership. Yeah. And I think that's actually a huge point. Yeah. I would also say though that like there should be enough of opposing viewpoints inside of a staff in order to be able to voice their opinions without feeling like they're gonna get axed. Yeah. And so I don't know. Part of it is the political process of left and right makes a politician have to kind of be somewhat balanced. So you've seen him go more neutral on several major topics in this debate and this running compared to previous years, and you can tell he's trying to bring in that middle audience. Yeah.
No, it's good. I completely agree with that. I was just looking at how many press secretaries Trump had.
Oh, was it like 5 or 6?
It was like 5 or 6. Yeah. I saw 2. I think it was 5, but yeah, I mean that's more than 1 per year on average. So
the best was Scaramucci. Was that his name?
Yeah, dude, Anthony Scaramucci. Yeah. The Mooch.
The
Mooch was a legend.
Oh,
big.
We have someone for the media team trying to get it, I think. See if they can figure out the lock.
Yeah.
You got this, dude.
You're gonna wait.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Well, we'll switch it up here. Now, this is. Are you looking at my phone background? It's one of SpaceX's recent launches. Just a really cool picture.
I love it, dude.
Anyways, we're gonna switch it up. This is one sentence you said the other day in a mastermind. So it's private to Augusta, but we're gonna bring it public. You just threw it out there, and I'm gonna classify this as not financial advice.
Okay.
This is one sentence. I sold all my individual stocks and moved everything to ETFs.
Yeah.
There's no context. You just said it.
Hey,
so would you like to expand? Not financial advice. Would you like to expand on why you shared that?
Yeah. So I was like, it's kind of a risk off move. All my stocks are way up. So I was like, you know what? I'm way ahead of the market, and I know I'm smart enough to know I'm not as smart as everyone else that's always tried to trade the market and time it right. And so I probably spend 2 minutes a day looking at it, but it's 2 minutes too long. So as you know, I've been doing a little purge on all meetings and chats, etc. So it was like 2 minutes a day is going to get whacked if I can just switch to ETFs that I never touch. Yeah. So I switched it to 6 different ETFs. So I can name them off if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
VT.
Not financial advice.
SPY.
Okay.
The Vanguard High Dividend Yield ETF.
What's the ticker on that one?
VYM.
Yep. Okay.
iShares Russell 2000 because I think the Russell 2000 is way underpriced right now. The Schwab US Large Cap ETF. And then the last one is the Schwab US Dividend Equity. Okay. So 6 different ETFs, all with 6 figures in them. That's all I'm touching, and I'm leaving it alone.
I think I have some of that Vanguard one that you mentioned. I may have the mid cap one because they have so many different ETFs, and then the Russell one I don't have, but I've definitely looked at.
Yeah. So when you have individual stocks, the thing is that like it's always forced me to be like very interested in their quarterly reports and all the rest of it. So it's not just the 2 minutes a day. It's the fact that quarterly, I usually will read their annual report, like their quarterly report, and I'll really look at their financials, et cetera. So, it's I don't want to do that for my time anymore. And it's just, I also know that like long term, it's not a good move, and I'm not going to be betting against that. So I've crushed it in the past 4 years doing individual stocks. My returns are on average. Let's see here. I've more than doubled my money.
Nice.
So it's good. But the timing is very key on that. So I really lucked out on the last bottom. So at conference, I said, I'm calling the bottom. That day, I bought a ton of stocks. Yeah. And that was true enough. January 4th, 2022. I went all in, and that has helped. Yeah. So I'm thankful because we needed the money at Copilot, and so I've used quite a bit of that. But then, everything else, I'm just like, all right, I'm going in these index funds, and I'm never touching it. Also, I do think there's going to be a correction, but if a correction in an ETF like that's across all these stocks might go down 10 to 15% in a correction versus in the stocks I was in, like Tesla, et cetera, it'll go down 50, 60%. So it's just a risk off move. Right. That's really what it is. Like, so for example, if things did collapse, I'd be right back in the game, baby.
Yeah, totally.
I'd be buying all the ones that go down a lot. Yeah. So
we'll just let all of us laymen know when it collapses again.
Okay, I'll let you.
You got to listen to classic Warren Buffett, time in the market, not timing.
100%.
And so I do have time in, but I would like to put more in, and I just feel like the stock market's been chaotic for the last few years.
It's so hot.
And so
like that, it's everything's so high. The thing that you really want to look at, though, I would say if I was talking to someone and they're like, I don't want to invest, is like most of the gains in the past year have been from the top 7 or 8 stocks.
Exactly.
And so that's why like I don't recommend usually going after smaller cap stocks. They're more volatile. But the fact that the Russell 2000 has not had any sort of recovery since the bottom of like 2021, 2022 when it collapsed, it hasn't really recovered at all hardly. And so I shouldn't say that. It has recovered. It hasn't like exploded like the S&P 500. And most of those S&P 500 gains are brought by the likes of Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, like those top 5-6 holdings. Yeah. Microsoft.
Yeah, they talked about that in the All In podcast, how if you actually look at like S&P, it's like really just held up by the top.
Yeah.
And it looks exaggerated, if you will. I did just send you an image if you want to pull it up. Okay. This is something, I did not verify this information.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, it's from the internet.
Classic.
But this is from a finance account that I sometimes look at on Instagram.
Yeah, dude, let's go.
So this is beaten up stocks near 52-week lows. Now, since we're talking stocks, what are your thoughts on some of these that maybe, I didn't verify these. We could look them up if we really want to. But if they were, we can even make a hypothetical. If these stocks are actually at these negative percentages near 52-week lows, what are your thoughts on them if you want to just bang through them?
Okay, so Lululemon,
yeah,
I think that was way overpriced. So yeah, it's down 43%, but it was probably 4x too expensive. People were investing it with the hopes that it would become the next Nike. Well, that leads us on to stock number 2.
Weird.
Nike is down 32%. What's funny is when it dropped off the cliff, I had that was like my most recent purchase was Nike. I just sold it like around the same.
Yeah.
Because like it's only several weeks that I was holding it. But yeah, then like Starbucks, Dollar Tree, Zoom
is getting mangled right now.
Well, yeah, because like they have had stalled out growth for 4 years since COVID.
And I just got an email from them yesterday that they're doing price increases,
which is a good sign usually. Usually when price increases happen, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
The problem with Zoom is that Microsoft came along and with their monopoly on the enterprise market, basically just threw Teams into their package. Then you got Southwest. And then you got, what is that? That's not Southwest.
That's TAP. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is. That looks like Southwest was not
Let me see. Ticker.
And then McDonald's only down 16%. That's not like a lot. Like these are like very small moves. 10, 16, 18, 14. Like that's not enough for me to buy a stock. If a stock drops by like 70, 80%, and I think it's a solid, like actually a good stock, then I start to buy it. So like if Tesla went down to 100, I'd go back in on it. So that only happens if we go into a massive recession. It's at 280 right now or something.
Oh, that's Molson Coors beverage. So Coors beer.
Oh, okay, Coors. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's their symbol. TAP. Oh, like beer tap. That's funny.
Very good.
I like that.
I'm gonna have to figure out what our ticker symbol is gonna be.
Yeah.
I really wanted Max, but there's already a company that has the ticker symbol.
I thought it was
Max.
Mike.
No, that was like I had to fill something in on that document.
Just
the
a
other
bit.
day. Yeah, that was just a bit.
I don't know.
I was thinking about a whole bunch of different ones.
Yeah,
because it has four letters or less.
Yeah.
We can cross that bridge when we get there.
APCM. Augusta, P for P, Copilot Media. So it's like the 4 things that kind of are the foundation.
I'd rather make it funny.
Yeah, all right. I agree. Yeah, I agree too.
Max would have been cool. I would have really liked that, cool. But there's already another company. So we're just hoping for the next 10 years for the demise of Max Linear.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, there's your stock takes. This is a question from the audience. Thought it was a good question. Okay. This is from @the_Markintosh. So that's funny. I'm assuming his name is Mark.
Oh, that's funny.
Markintosh.
Okay, all right, yes.
This is what he said. He said, in the beginning, this is getting biblical here. In the beginning, were you passionate about lawn care work itself, or was building a business the thing that was driving you? I'm finding myself dragging my feet more and more to get out there and grind. Though I am good at it, I don't think I'm passionate about lawn care anymore. I would like to build, but I'm cash strapped due to the business and personal debts, and I feel like I'm stuck. On my current trajectory, my business debts will be paid off within 2 years. I feel like I owe it to myself to stick it out, but I also want to quit like every other day. I guess another way of phrasing it is, how important is passion? Or as Hormozy would say, am I just in the pit of despair and this is what hard feels like?
I think it kind of depends on how big a business you're trying to build. What's so true is the fact that, obviously this person listened to Alex. So Alex talks about this, and that is like, once a business crosses like 10 million, 50 million, it's all the same stuff. Like you're just dealing with the exact same problems in any business.
Yep.
So it's like, how big of a business do you want to get? The second thing is, how long do you want to stay inside the business? And then secondarily, if you're using this as a jumping off point, just make more money. Like, just make more money. Like I'm not passionate about lawn care in and of itself. I never was, but I needed to pay for college. And the way to do it was to go mow lawns. And then once I dropped out of medical school, it was like the only thing I knew how to do was mow lawns. So I needed to make money. So guess what I did? Mow lawns.
Yep.
So, and then any business, as it gets bigger and bigger, you start to just do the exact same few things. Hire people, it's marketing, it's branding, it's decision-making, it's resource allocation in terms of time, money, and energy. And that's what a CEO does. And so it just becomes more and more of that. You're just trying to find talent. You're trying to look at, you're managing resources of money and time and energy. And that's it as the business grows. So how big do you want to be? Like if this person's like, I want to build a $10 million, $50 million business, that's all it's going to become regardless of what industry you're in. And so if you take your passion, you start making it a job, and you're like, it's because I love it. Well, if you start growing it, guess what you're not going to be doing? That thing. Like if I love mowing grass, I haven't mowed grass in a very long time, like a year since I was in North Carolina and did the whole 30-day challenge. Never touched grass. So if you get into
and that was even more just to prove a point. Like you didn't really have to do that.
Yeah, but like
so, anyways.
the notion that you're going to do something because you're passionate about it, if you're going to say that, but then also say you want to build a big business, just realize you're not going to be doing that thing.
Fair.
So.
Yeah. There are lots of people that have talked about that. Actually, someone posted, one of our franchise owners, Max, from up in Canada. He posted a clip of
Scott Galloway,
a guy that I'm a big fan of, Scott Galloway. We've talked about him on the pod before. Some of his videos have been my not financial advice. And he basically said, like, he was debating Piers Morgan on how like passion doesn't equal like financial freedom. Like, yes, you can be passionate about something, but you're going to have to, as you would say, do the boring work. Yeah. And you could love doing, and it's great because in the clip they're actually talking about like lawn care and landscaping.
Yeah,
I love mowing
that was
lawns.
A great clip.
It was awesome. It's just good. Yeah, I think there's a lot of rhetoric about find your passion, and even, you know, you've talked about how Gary Vee has kind of shifted, right? He's very in tune with like people finding their passions and embracing their emotions and how they can impact the world versus like, dude, you just got to go grind for 10 days, like, or whatever, 10-hour days, 7 days a week, whatever it is. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think it's easier? Here's an interesting question. Just going to preface that for myself. Do you think it's easier to follow your passion as an entrepreneur or as an employee?
Depends what your goals are. If you're trying to make more money, I still wouldn't follow my passion as an employee. Because again, if you're going to move up the corporate ladder, you'll end up not doing the thing you love. Like if you love music, you're like, I love music. And if you're not going to be the artist on stage singing, if you're going to grow with that organization, you're probably not going to do a lot of singing and recording. You're going to be doing like venue prep. You're going to be doing ad slots. You're going to be doing security and like all this stuff around like creating concerts and tours and scheduling, and you become a logistics person, or branding and marketing. So like, I think that it just depends on what your goals are. Like if you want to stay at a lower level, you can stay in the thing, doing the work, and if you love it, fantastic. But if you're trying to make more money, typically more money is made when you lead, when you manage, and when you allocate and make decisions. And so that's what like, as you move up any organization and start making, like the most value goes to the person making decisions, because there's the most risk in those decisions. Is like if, for example, if I am building the iPhone and I mess something up, I crack the iPhone, shame on me. If I have to make the decision to change what type of glass we put on said iPhone, I affect every single iPhone in production. And so that's why people that cry out against like CEOs making 400 times more, it's like realize that their decision making is probably 10,000 times more weighty than the person you're comparing them against. And so, not to say that like it's fair and things like that. It's just a matter of that's why they get paid what they do, is because they're in the business of decision making instead of doing.
Right.
And that's a higher leverage activity.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just trying to think if from an employee's perspective, I think employees have the ability to have more control over their ability to pursue passions.
Well, yeah, and you can move laterally much
Yes.
faster.
Yes.
Right. So, for example,
Right.
if someone works 5 years at a business, kind of goes up halfway up the ladder, and it's like, okay, this is getting away from my passions. I want to like swap. It's
Yep.
easier to move over really quick, right? Whereas if you stop a business today, you can it, and you switch businesses, it could be 4 or 5 years before you get revenue back to where it was before. And so, definitely I would say from an employee's, because the switching costs are so much lower as an employee. That's what I would say.
So would you say all the videos and advice out there to entrepreneurs that is follow your passion, is that completely wrong?
If you
That
wanna-
actually employees should be, if you want to follow your passion in life, you should be an employee. If you want to make money and maybe do something you're passionate about sometimes, be an entrepreneur.
Or we just do it as a side hustle and realize it's not going to be a business. Because if you love the thing, doing it as a side hustle is probably the best option.
Yeah.
Because it means you actually get to stay doing the thing. You're not dependent on it from a financial perspective, and anything you make from it is gravy on top. So it's always going to be awesome. Versus making it a job, scaling it up, and then not being able to do the thing because you have to focus on higher leverage activities inside the business, which is decision making, etc.
Yeah. It's like that phrase, you've probably heard this before, like do it as your 5 to 9 until you can make it your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to do it after hours, build the thing, and then you can make it a job, or you can make it a full-time career.
Yeah, but I disagree with that because
But that's what I was going to say. Let me just finish
Yeah.
my thought. I feel like that's exactly where the pivot is. Okay, 5 to 9, I'm passionate about it. Like I just
Right.
worked my full-time job. I hate my boss. Like I want to do what I'm passionate about. Great. So I'm going to grind from 5 to 9 and figure out how to build my own business.
Yeah.
As soon as you make it a 9 to 5, now you're dealing with the problems you don't want to deal with. Now you're dealing with payroll. Now you're dealing with insurance. Now you're dealing with people's schedules and your employees calling out. It just becomes a whole new beast that you have to master.
yeah, it becomes your jail instead of giving discretionary effort,
Yeah.
which is out of your own good, free moral agency to be able to do whatever you want with it.
Yeah. So what was that your disagreement as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we hear that all the time. I feel like even like Hormozy said that, but it's not a bad thing because if you truly know what you're going to have to face when turning it to a 9 to 5, then it's good to start as a 5 to 9. It is. But I think a lot of people think like, oh, I'm so passionate about it. It's my after hours activity. But when it becomes your full-time thing, it wears on you, if you will.
Yeah, like I would say if you're going to build past $1 million business in home services, it doesn't matter which industry you choose. Like literally flip a coin. I don't care if you're doing grass, pressure washing, roofing, janitorial, flip a coin if you're trying to build $1 million to $3 million business. If you're trying to build a $10 million plus business, it does not matter what industry you're in. Because what your job description will look like at 10 million to 100 million is almost identical regardless of what business you're in. Whether you're running software, or whether you're running an agency, whether you're running a lawn care business, it all is going to look at the same at 10 million plus.
Yep. Fair enough.
So,
All right. I have one more thing we could talk about, or we could jump to non-financial advice.
one more thing.
All right, we'll do one more thing. Now, this is interesting. Now, this is a tweet, all right? And I just want to know what your thoughts are. Okay? I'm going to ask you the question first, and then I'll explain why this person tweeted it.
Okay.
What do you have as unreasonable high standards in your life?
Okay.
That's the question.
All right, well, what's the context? You said you're going to give me
Well, no,
context.
I'd love to know. Can you think of anything off the top of your head? Like, what do you, Mike Andes, have as unreasonably high standards for your life?
Oh, I know the answer to this.
I think I might know what yours is.
Okay, what's yours? You obviously know. You've thought about it.
I have thought about it, but I don't feel like I have like super high standards, honestly.
Really?
I'm pretty relaxed, like low level. Like I don't need a lot. I don't think I have like a lot of wants and desires.
Yeah.
I would say for me it's like travel schedules and like traveling.
Okay, you're
Like
patient.
I'm very patient. I just want like an airtight schedule. I want good layovers. If I have to have layovers, I will pay extra for direct flights.
direct flights.
I'll pay extra for Comfort Plus.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
You're a big guy.
Yeah, and honestly, here's a new goal and a new goal for myself. I want to figure out how I can start flying like first class, just if I want to.
Whoa,
Just if
okay.
I want to.
All right.
Just if I want to.
Okay.
That's where this is my unreasonably high standards. I'm not
Okay.
saying it's reasonable.
Okay.
I think I would like to have that luxury. So like I can board first. I can have free checked bags, like all that. Like I just like travel. I don't like dealing with people. I like traveling.
Yeah.
I don't like dealing with the hundreds of people that are also going to be on the plane.
Oh,
with
yeah,
me.
we're on the same page on that.
Yeah.
That token.
So I think that's one for me. It's like travel standards.
Okay.
Like I want a good itinerary. I will pay extra for services, like whatever it needs to be. Like I just want that experience to be smooth. This is probably my one off the top of my head.
Okay, my unrealistic expectation, because those are very realistic expectations.
Yes.
You're looking for unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, unreasonable.
Yeah, my unreasonable expectations definitely comes to team members. I just think they should be working 24/7. Yeah. I just genuinely believe that. And it's more a matter of like when people want more and they're not willing to give more.
That's fair.
Like it's like, oh, so like you want to make more money, you want more position, you want more authority, you want people reporting to you, and you're not willing to put in extra time after work. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
And then I get really agitated, like really, it's so bad, dude.
Yeah.
I can't fathom how someone wants to get ahead and the unlock is not very obvious and like keep working, like stop doing anything but work. And I understand like most people should not do that. They want work-life balance, but for the person that's going to profess, they want more money. They want more autonomy. They want to be a manager. They want more skills. Like, so what are you doing outside of work? What are you doing in the, again, your discretionary effort to make this happen? Are you listening to audiobooks? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you trying to help and go the extra mile? Because if you're not, why do you expect me to pay you more money?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And I want to impress the people is like, look, I want you to make more money. I want you to do those things. But like, here's the recipe. It's really simple. Like work more.
Yeah.
And so I don't think everyone should work more. I think everyone should have their work-life balance situation. But don't expect that and also getting all these other things.
Yeah.
So like, again, constant improvement is the number one value of Augustination for a reason. And I want to create the structure for which people can actually make more money and can get ahead, et cetera. But it bothers me so much when people don't like when they're clocked in and they're not working. I'm so ticked off.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it's unrealistic that people can keep that level of attention for that long. And I can't necessarily say I can all the time, but like, I just know like it has worked so well for me. And for people to like point to any person, be like, I want what they have in terms of money, wealth, autonomy, business, whatever. And then not be willing to do the recipe that went into that is like, what do you want? Like, okay, how did you build Augusta? Like just like sleep in there for 4 years and work 7 days a week.
Yeah, and not take pay.
And just like, so anyways.
You keep going.
No, that's
We're
it.
here for it.
That's it.
Yeah, so this tweet, this is from @Tamara Winter, no idea who she is. This was in Sean Purry's newsletter. I subscribe to his newsletter. He's the host of My First Million Pod. He does Twitter Tuesdays. So he sends his 5 favorite tweets he saw for the week. It's fantastic. So yeah, this tweet he put out there, he said, this is what Tamara said. I love asking people what they have unreasonably high standards for. The answers are always very revealing, and if they don't have an answer, well, that's also revealing. I'm like,
okay, so encapsulate this. What's your unrealistic expectations? Because I went off on a different tangent and I'm gonna be misunderstood for that, but like you encapsulate what your unrealistic expectations are
in terms of like for my life.
Well, you talked about like your whole travel thing, but like encapsulate like what is the unrealistic expectation that you need to have like a perfect travel experience?
That I don't want to have to deal with people. Okay. Like that sounds that sounds so bad. And
dude, I get it.
I'm in sales. And I'm in
traveling.
I also had like that horrific experience about my flight back from Hawaii that I told you about, where the guy basically, like, without saying he was going to assault me, said he was going to assault me. And I'm like, dude, I'm just sitting in my seat and there's turbulence. So like that like really made me. I already didn't like dealing with people when traveling. My thing too is like I'm good at traveling. Yeah. Like I pack efficiently. I'm at TSA, dude. I'm ready to go. Like I get through TSA faster than anyone else, guaranteed. So I would say it's I don't want to deal with people traveling when I don't have to. That is not to say I don't like people. It's when traveling, people become like sheep. They just don't know where they're going. And it's really annoying. But Sean Purry gave his unreasonably high expectation. I think you might like this. He said he has an unreasonably high expectation for his day-to-day attitude. And that is, I cannot be affected by the whims of my businesses or bad situations politically or bad situations with employees. And he is, and he has unreasonable expectation. No, he's saying like it's unreasonable how much emphasis I am putting on having a good attitude. Like I should be okay with like being reactive sometimes to things.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So
he's expecting himself to always be even keel.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not necessarily needed.
Yeah. It's good at times, right? Like you've talked about it, lower highs, higher lows, but he's also realizes maybe it's unreasonable unreasonable how high my standards are for my emotional composure, if you will. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of a complex question. I feel like you could go a lot of ways with that. Like you went kind of more the business owner way. I went more like personal. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have in my life that unreasonable high expectations, high standards. Anything else you can think of?
If I had to encapsulate mine, I have very high expectations for the people that I love and the people I want to see succeed. And typically those are unrealistic.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, then I get disappointed with them.
Yeah.
So
here's one that I thought for you though. I was like, if I ask you about this, this is like very, very, very low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like you have unreasonably high expectations for the quality of meat that you want to consume.
Dude, as long as it tastes good. I don't care the quality, dude.
All right, fair enough.
It tastes good, man.
Fair enough. I know you like your meats.
Yeah.
So.
All right, non-financial advice.
Not financial advice.
By the way, peppercorn ribeye. Mwah.
Yeah?
Oh, dude.
Where did you get this?
Dude, in Blaine is the best steakhouse in all of the country, dude.
Right. Good. I love it.
So good.
Fantastic. My non-financial advice, I got to go off camera for a second.
Oh, wow. I was going to bring something.
No, I didn't bring anything.
Oh, you got that? That's cheating. That's cheating. Oh, the book? Oh, yeah, I forgot the book came out.
Financial advice. There it is.
Dude, yeah, we got to have better placement. Come on now, dude. I should have really thought about this.
The Total Business Turnaround.
There we go.
Written by Mike Andes. And it is a fantastic book. I can't say I've read the whole thing, but what I have read has been fantastic, and it will help your business. So buy your copy today.
Let's go.
On Amazon, and then the Audible is out.
No, hopefully the next couple days, but on the podcast, you can listen to it for free.
Yep. Podcast, you can listen for free, and then it's the Kindle cheap as well.
It's $1. Yeah.
It's $1. So it's not a money grab. So check it out. But if you want a nice hard copy, it's good. Nice hard copy, you know. A little ASMR there. It's a great book.
Takes 5 hours on Audible to read.
Yeah.
So it's chunky.
Yeah.
But it's easy to read.
It's an easy read.
Yeah.
First chapter is like 20 pages, but since it's kind of the introduction, you can get through it in a couple minutes.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. That's my non-financial advice.
My non-financial advice, Jocko Molk.
Oh,
chocolate. It's really good,
Yeah?
dude. I'm all on board.
I've never tried it.
Yeah, dude. I know Nick and Liz have been always drinking it, and then Nick was a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I gotta try it out.
Cool.
Now I'm a fan, dude. So now on my flight, when I go traveling, I have to have a Jocko Go energy for each day. And now I have to have a Jocko Molk for every single day. So it's good stuff. I'm gonna replace it. I'm like trying to mix it up. So I have that sometimes instead of my protein puck, because the protein puck has a lot more calories and more carbs. Yeah. So that's what we're moving.
Cool. I love it. Well, I think that's all we got today.
That's the pod.
Like and subscribe.